Hello, lovely people. I'm Debs. Welcome back to my channel, Raina Reads Stuff. I am in the book shack. It's Tuesday. I'm going to do a Tag Tuesday on a day that you're meant to do a Tag Tuesday. So that's a good start. This is a new tag called Oh, the Places You Will Go. It was created by Gareth at Book Songs and Other Magic. I have been tagged by Alex at Alex Unabridged and Pat at Book Chat with Pat. Thank you, my friends. There are 7 prompts and then a tag people prompt. Now this takes the wonderful Dr Seuss and has 2 parts to each question, one bookish one and one personal one. So here are the prompts. Which direction you choose. Book prompt. What's the first place you go to in a bookstore? The biggest bookstore in Nottingham is at Waterstones. It's got 4 floors. So it's a nice big one. There's a couple of entrances to it. I always pick a certain entrance, and that entrance starts with the new releases and also has the buy one, get one half price, the first of those tables set out. That's where I head first, because at heart, I am a cheapskate and I like to save money wherever I can. I then head round to the fiction department, where they have, obviously, books on shelves, but I like the big tables where they've got the books stacked up, and there's probably round about 50 or so, where I look for covers that I find really attractive, and authors I've never heard of. I'll then probably go to the crime section, then classics and poetry. Then I'll head upstairs to the photography books that I can't afford because they're huge and lovely and very expensive, and the art books, and then the history section. Yeah, that's what I do. What's the biggest, this is the life prompt, what's the biggest life decision you made that has impacted your life? I decided to have children, and I had 2. And I was reasonably young. I was 24. So I also I wasn't one of these people who could do full-time parenting. So I always had at least a part-time job while they were working, while they were young. And so I worked part-time as a journalist, and part-time was devoted just to my daughters. Now, it was a huge decision because I was quite young. I was only 24 when I had Kerry. I thought it would impact my career, but actually it didn't, because I worked for a guy who was unbelievably good at letting me work around my mothering commitments. He didn't care when I worked, as long as I covered a specific area for the local paper, and as long as he had everything he needed by deadline, I could write it at 4 o'clock in the morning if I needed to. So without his support, I don't think I would have been able to balance the two. But because of him, and bear in mind, this is 35 years ago, he was really quite forward thinking, set me up with internet connection at home, and computer software even then. So I owe him a lot of thanks. But yeah, having children definitely the biggest decision of my life. Right, question 2. Too smart to go down any not so good street. What did you used to read that you don't read anymore? There's a couple of things, actually. I used to read more historical fiction. I read a lot of Jean Plaidy when I was a kid. I also read a lot of fantasy. But I also read romance novels like Georgette Heyer. I don't tend to do that anymore. I certainly don't read. Well, I think that might be another question. I want to get back into fantasy because I love it, and I don't know why I stopped reading it, really. What have you learned, either as a hobby or in education, that you value most? I did journalism training, and one of the things that and my then career taught me was to listen. I mean, properly listen to what people have to say and to ask the right questions. I don't ask questions where the answer is yes or no. Unless, I'm saying to my husband, do you want a cup of coffee? Ask more open-ended questions so people can give a better and more thorough response, and listen to what they say, because might not be the same as you think they're going to say. Question 3. You'll be seeing great sights. Pick a book with an attractive cover. There's lots of books that I think have an attractive cover. One I'm reading at the moment has an attractive cover and also attractive pictures inside. Look at him. He's good, isn't he? This is The Creatures of Celtic Myth by Bob Curran, but it's been illustrated by Andrew Whitson. And his pictures go throughout this, and I just think it's lovely. I'm not very far into it yet. I'm reading it for the Irish Readathon, Garethon, and the Celtic Readathon. What is the most beautiful place I've visited? I'm really lucky in that I was a travel editor for a while, so I travelled to lots of places. I've also lived in a couple of different countries, and everywhere I go, I'm one of those people that finds pretty much everywhere beautiful. But one of the best road trips I did was I was in Canada. Started off in Quebec City, which is beautiful enough on its own, but someone gave me a 4x4 and told me to head off to a place called Tadoussac. And we drove, it was the middle to end of September. The trees were turning. Drove the girls on roads where, you might see another vehicle every mile or so. At one point, I screeched to them, "There's a bear!" And there was this bear sitting by the side of the road. We drove past it. It was waiting patiently till we'd gone so it could cross the road. But it was just beautiful with all the colours in the trees and everything. So yeah, that's one of my favourites. You'll be the best of the best. Book prompt. Question number 4. What do you feel confident that you know a lot about with regard to books? Absolutely nothing. I am very much a jack of all trades, master of none. Regulars to this channel will know that I will read anything, and I do mean anything. I have a brain like a butterfly, which flits from one thing to the next. I see people's videos and think, ooh, that's a good idea, and go off on a tangent. Consequently, I am not expert at anything at all. Life prompt. What would be your specialist subject on Mastermind? It would possibly be a history one. Maybe the monarchs of Britain or something like that. I still wouldn't be very good. But yeah, possibly something like that. Except when you don't. Question 5. What kinds of books do you feel that you don't relate to? Chick lit, mainly. I don't know why the covers put me off to start with. I don't like books that are just romance anymore. Maybe that's because I'm old and cynical. Who knows? I do believe in romance. I just don't. The thing is, there are so many books that I want to read. I don't have time for the genres that I am unsure about. That's my argument, and I'm sticking to it. What is something that you've stopped doing or given up on? I've given up reading local newspapers. I used to buy, wherever I went in the country or in the world, I would buy local newspapers for the areas that I was in, even if I didn't read the language. I have some from Tunis. I don't read Arabic, but I liked them. I loved flicking through them. And now I also subscribed to a load of local news sites when I was working, and now I don't do any of that. As much as the national news depresses me, I do still want to know what's happening in the world. But local news has stopped being local news. If you look at a local news website, it's more about, the bargains you can get in various shops, why everybody is after this dress. Well, I'm not after this dress. I want to know who celebrated their 100th birthday locally. So it's changed. Local news has changed. So I no longer, despite the fact I was a journalist for 40 years or almost 40 years, I no longer track it down. The Waiting Place, book prompt. Name a book you're excited to read that's on your TBR. My TBRs are huge. I am excited to read this. The Walls Have Ears, which was sent to me by the lovely Alan at Alan's Reads. I do not think I am going to wait until the relevant period of Historathon to read this, because the relevant period is Q4. This is by Helen Fry. It's about a sting. It's about MI6 trying to get information out of German officers in the Second World War by putting them up in a stately home and giving them lots of nice things, and then leaving them on their own to chat for a while and recording them. Also, I've just finished a buddy read with Gavin at Genre Books. We've just read A Room with a View. Neither of us have read Morris yet, and neither of us have read Howard's End yet. So we are going on a bit of an E.M. Forster binge, and I'm excited to read both of those. What in general are you looking forward to most this year. Because I live so far away from, well, I say so far away, I live 150 miles from my family. I always look forward to going to see them. I have my mum, who is 85 and quite crazy. I have my two brothers, my sister, but then I have my two daughters and their partner, and my grandson, who I just adore. So it's always lovely to see them. I don't get to do it as much as I'd like to. Balancing act. Talk about balancing your time between general life and putting out content on Booktube. I don't work. I took voluntary redundancy about 4 years ago. I have no useful purpose to society, and yet I still struggle to balance general life and content on YouTube. Sometimes I'm good at it. Today, I fell asleep this afternoon, and I'd meant to do this much earlier, but I haven't. So once again, I'm doing it in the dark. I am better in months where there's more light than in the darker months, where I do tend to have a desire to hibernate like a bear. Right, tag others. So I know lots of people have been tagged. I am going to tag Book Lady Linda. I am going to tag Sarah at My Granny Era. I am going to tag Brindis at Daughter of Gunner. And I am going to tag Berna at Berna's Bookish Adventures. So there we go. Thank you for watching. I have been tagged in lots of tags by lots of different people over the last week. So I'm going to have to do some more this week. I also have an announcement video coming this week, but I'm not going to tell you what it is because you'll have to wait for the announcement. Thank you very much for watching. It's always lovely of you to stop by, and I shall speak to you very soon. Bye for now.